The movie opens in a small workshop where a man named Charlie is repairing an old airplane, a gift from his wife, Sarah. Sarah stops by to say goodbye because she's leaving for a conference and will stay in London for 2 days. From their conversation, we learn that Charlie works for the CIA as a data analyst and encryption expert. Later, Charlie goes to work at the agency and enters the department responsible for analyzing encrypted messages. He sits at his desk and begins working when he opens a secret file containing leaks from an unknown source. A code repeatedly appears on his screen labeled Ankyline, likely an alias for an unidentified person or group. The information isn't clear at first, but between the lines, Charlie realizes it contains details about illegal covert operations conducted by American intelligence, particularly in the Middle East. Shocked, Charlie starts digging deeper and uncovers that the US government has been orchestrating unlawful missions abroad using terrorist groups. His shock turns to disbelief when he discovers that the mastermind behind these operations is none other than his boss, Moore, also the deputy director of the agency. Charlie leaves the office quickly and coincidentally runs into his friend Alex, who notices something's off. Charlie tells him about the classified files, and Alex advises him to stay out of it to avoid trouble. That night, missing his wife, Charlie tries calling her but finds her phone turned off. So he leaves a voice message expressing how much he misses her. The next day at work, Charlie finds Moore waiting for him in his office. Confused, Charlie asks if there's something wrong, and Moore questions whether he knows what happened in London. Still confused, Charlie says he doesn't understand. So Moore takes him to the head of intelligence, who informs them that a terrorist attack occurred at the Christopher Hotel in London, killing many, including Sarah. Devastated, Charlie is heartbroken and falls into a deep depression. All he can think about is finding the people responsible for his wife's death and avenging her. The next day, he meets with Moore again, asking if there's any new information. Moore claims the investigation is ongoing and needs time, but Charlie senses they're stalling and decides to take matters into his own hands. He retrieves Sarah's body and finds a gift she had bought for him, along with a letter. Reading it, he breaks down completely. The next day, he returns to work and begins gathering information about the terrorist group responsible. He learns they were in a building near the hotel to steal specific items, but after being spotted by security, they overpowered them, fled to the hotel, and took hostages, one of whom was Sarah. She sacrificed herself to save another hostage, and she was taken instead. Charlie discovers that the attackers are known as Mishka and Ailes, but the one who killed Sarah was a dangerous man named Schiller, who has strong ties to mercenaries. It becomes clear that the terrorists are merely a front for corrupt state elements. Schiller's personal assistant Gretchen, a former intelligence operative currently living in Paris, is also involved. She has a habit of visiting a particular cafe every day. When Charlie shares this information with Moore, he's surprised that Moore isn't shocked, indicating he already knew. Realizing Moore had been hiding the truth, Charlie confronts him angrily. Moore explains that taking action would endanger national security and suggests Charlie see a therapist due to his unstable mental state. Charlie follows through and talks to the therapist, confessing his intense anger and desire for revenge. He expresses disappointment in Moore's inaction despite it being their duty to seek justice for Sarah's murder. He vows that her blood won't go in vain, even if he must do it himself. The next day, Charlie sneaks into a secure room and steals sensitive files exposing Moore's illegal activities. He then confronts Moore in his office with everything he has uncovered. Among the files are records of terrorist attacks orchestrated by Moore, including ones in Syria, Yemen, and Afghanistan. Additionally, evidence reveals that Moore and the agency covered up the deaths of over 1,000 civilians, falsely labeling them as terrorist attacks to serve political interests with other nations. Fearing exposure, Moore tries to justify his actions as necessary for national defense, but Charlie remains unmoved. He warns Moore that he has set up an automatic system. If he doesn't enter a specific code every 5 days, all the incriminating files will be sent to 3 top journalists, exposing the entire operation. Afraid of being exposed, Moore reluctantly agrees to help Charlie find those who killed Sarah, on the condition that Charlie undergoes special combat training under Colonel Henderson. Days pass, and Charlie shows progress, eventually becoming a skilled agent. However, Henderson later tells him that despite his physical abilities, he lacks the killer instinct. Killing someone requires a hardened heart, which Charlie clearly doesn't have. Meanwhile, Moore and the agency search desperately for the hidden code Charlie created. They ransack his office and home, but fail to find it. Eventually, Moore decides to eliminate Charlie. He orders Henderson to kill him, but Henderson finds Charlie gone, having anticipated the betrayal. Charlie had planted a surveillance device and monitored Moore for weeks. Using a fake identity and passport, Charlie travels to France. The agency tracks him and sends someone to kill him. Upon arriving in Paris, Charlie stakes out the cafe where Gretchen regularly visits. He hacks her phone, finds her address, and later infiltrates her apartment. He discovers she has an appointment at a hyperbaric oxygen therapy clinic the next day. Charlie buys flowers that cause allergic reactions in people with hyperbaric sensitivities. He grinds the pollen and uses it to sabotage the clinic's oxygen supply, while Gretchen is undergoing treatment inside a sealed chamber. He demands she tell him where Schiller is. Gretchen struggles to breathe and asks who he is. Charlie identifies himself as Sarah's husband and insists she cooperate. When she fails to respond, he removes her from the chamber just before she suffocates. Gretchen recovers briefly before attacking Charlie and fleeing. He chases her through the streets until a car suddenly hits and kills her. Shocked, Charlie grabs her phone and flees before police arrive. Overwhelmed with frustration and grief, he spends the night at a bar trying to change his mood. There, he unexpectedly encounters Henderson, realizing he's come to kill him. Charlie runs and hides, but Henderson follows. Charlie finally confronts him, only to hear unexpected life advice from Henderson instead of violence. Charlie thanks him but reveals he has planted a bomb in the building, which detonates seconds later. Charlie escapes and contacts Ankeline, requesting a face-to-face meeting. Ankeline gives him a location in Turkey. In Turkey, Charlie meets Ankeline, a Russian widow and former KGB-linked intelligence officer who helped Charlie anonymously throughout his mission. She agrees to assist him in tracking down Schiller. Meanwhile, the head of intelligence grows suspicious of Moore and launches her own investigation. Charlie travels to Spain, where he learns Mishka frequently swims at a rooftop pool. Charlie plants explosives and waits. When Mishka arrives, Charlie confronts him and demands Schiller's location. Mishka, thinking it's a joke, refuses to answer. Charlie threatens to detonate the explosives unless he cooperates. Mishka tries to escape but is blown up mid-swim. Ankeline guides Charlie as he flees, but Henderson pursues him. During the chase, another agent intervenes and fights Henderson, allowing Charlie to escape. Later, the intelligence head confronts Moore, who lies about Charlie's whereabouts. Surveillance units trace Charlie and discover he's been receiving help from Ankeline. They decide to eliminate her. That night, Charlie and Ankeline hear an alarm. The agency has found them. They flee in a car, but forces catch up and kill Ankeline. Devastated, Charlie buries her and continues his mission alone. While reviewing Mishka's phone, Charlie learns of a missile deal in Romania led by Ailes. Charlie ambushes Ailes during the handoff, revealing that he has rigged the shipment with explosives. Ailes tells Charlie that Schiller will be aboard his ship in Russian waters before Charlie detonates the site. Charlie travels to Russia and plans how to reach Schiller. He deliberately gets into a fight with one of Schiller's men, who brings him aboard the ship. Schiller admits he didn't intend to kill Sarah, but felt cornered and had no choice. He looks Charlie in the eye and calls him out for not being a killer. He offers him a gun and tells him to take his revenge. Charlie takes the gun, aims it at Schiller, and recalls a past lesson. Once you point a weapon at your enemy, you may not be able to pull the trigger. Confirming this, he lowers the gun, walks away, and surprises Schiller by hacking into the ship's navigation system, steering it toward Finnish territorial waters, where Interpol is waiting. Interpol arrests Schiller and his crew. Later, the intelligence head holds a press conference, announcing the exposure of rogue agents within the agency and assuring the public they will be held accountable. At the same time, Moore and his accomplices are arrested. Days later, Charlie returns home and visits Henderson, thanking him for sparing his life. Finally, he repairs the airplane Sarah gifted him and flies it, feeling a sense of peace and victory after avenging his wife.